Everyone, welcome to day 4 of persistence. Today's Thursday. I am recording this, so I am officially going to start loading these up on YouTube on the channel that I started, and we're going to continue. So if you know anybody who can't be a part of the Facebook group, they can enjoy and watch them on YouTube. This part of persistence in Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, the persistence chapter. These stories are so great. When I read this for 90 days, I remember it never really got old because it was just so good. So I'm going to share these stories. I don't know if y'all have ever read these, but they're so good. So we're leading into, those who can take it are bountifully rewarded if they persist. And it says there are exceptions to this rule. A few people know from experience the soundness of persistence. They are the ones who have not accepted defeat as being anything more than temporary. They are the ones whose desires are so persistently applied that defeat is finally changed into victory. We who stand on the sidelines of life see an overwhelmingly large number who go down in defeat, never to rise again. We see the few who take the punishment of defeat as an urge to greater effort. These, fortunately, never learn to accept life's reverse gear. But what we do not see, what most of us never suspect of existing, is the silent but irresistible power which comes to the rescue of those who fight on in the face of discouragement. If we speak of this power at all, we call it persistence, and let it go at that. One thing we all know, if one does not possess persistence, one does not achieve noteworthy success in any calling. So this is Napoleon Hill writing this I think he wrote this book between 1907 and 1925. He wrote this for a while. So he wrote, as these lines are being written, I look up from my work and see before me, less than a block away, the great mysterious Broadway, the graveyard of dead hopes, and the front porch of opportunity. From all over the world, people have come to Broadway seeking fame, fortune, power, love, or whatever it is that human beings call success. So they were doing the same thing back in 1907 than they're doing in 2021. Once in a great while, someone steps out from the long procession of seekers, and the world hears that another person has mastered Broadway. But Broadway is not easily nor quickly conquered. She acknowledges talent, recognizes genius, pays off in money only after one has refused to quit. Then we know he has discovered the secret of how to conquer Broadway. The secret is always inseparably attached to one word: persistence. So we see this a lot, like I said, in, performers, actors, people who persist. They hear no's thousands and thousands and hundreds of times, but they persist. Those are the ones that win. If you keep persisting, if you really want something, you keep going after it, it's just a matter of time. Thanks, Tehran. Yeah, it's just a matter of time if you just persist. It says, the secret is told in the struggle of Fanny Hurst, whose persistence conquered the Great White Way. She was an old actress from back in the day. She came to New York in 1915 to convert writing into riches. The conversion did not come quickly, but it came. For 4 years, Miss Hurst learned about the sidewalks of New York from firsthand experience. She spent her days laboring and her nights hoping. When hope grew dim, she did not say, all right, Broadway, you win. She said, very well, Broadway. You may whip some, but not me. I'm going to force you to give up. One publisher of the Saturday Evening Post sent her 36 rejection slips before she broke the ice and got a story across. The average writer, like the average in other walks of life, would have given up the job at the first sign of rejection, at the first rejection slip. She pounded the pavements for 4 years to the tune of the publisher's no, because she was determined to win. Then came the payoff. The spell had been broken. The unseen guide had tested Fanny Hurst, and she could take it. From that time on, publishers made a beaten path to her door. Money came so fast she hardly had time to count it. Then the motion picture men discovered her, and money came not in small change, but in floods. The moving picture rights to her latest novel, Great Laughter, brought $100,000, said to be the highest price ever paid for a story before publication. $100,000 in 1915. I'm sure a lot of us would be happy with getting $100,000 for a project we did today. That was over 100 years ago. Think about that. Think of how inflation has changed. And $100,000 is still a lot of money for a project. Thanks, Jim Williams. This is such a great lesson. It is. Oh, man. Briefly, you have a description of what persistence is capable of achieving. Fanny Hurst is no exception. Wherever men and women accumulate great riches, you may be sure they first acquire persistence. Broadway will give any beggar a cup of coffee and a sandwich, but it demands persistence of those who go after the big stakes. So anywhere you go, any big dream, if you just piddle around, try to go in the back door, try to sneak around and be timid, you have to go full force. You have to go in full force until you get that yes, until you get that breakthrough. And like I said, I'm talking to myself. There's things that I'm working on. I mean, I'm doing this every day. I have dreams. I have goals. Yeah, and it's just keeping my head down and focused. Studying things like this, keeping me inspired. Success leaves clues. I follow people around. I get coached. I have mentors. We need to really keep ourselves surrounded with this stuff. There's other stories. Yeah, let me see. There's yeah, I'll finish these tomorrow because there's there like persistence is based among like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like 8 different principles. So I'll read those tomorrow to kind of close up this chapter to give you guys kind of a roadmap to certain things. But I'll read this. When Napoleon Hill was talking about his opportunity to take Carnegie's suggestion to write this book, if you don't know Napoleon Hill's story, look it up. But he was asked to interview the world's most successful people to see what the secrets were. Like I said, success leaves clues. Ask the people who have done it. Don't ask people that don't have results for advice. Results don't lie. So whoever has results, whoever's successful, go and ask them. So that's what Napoleon Hill did for 20 years. He asked the most successful people. You know, it said, I had a fine opportunity when he was asked, then and there, to kill off ambition before it gained control of me. Later in life, having analyzed thousands of people, I discovered that most ideas are stillborn and need the breath of life injected into them through definite plans of immediate action. The time to nurse an idea is at the time of its birth. Every minute it lives gives it a better chance of surviving. The fear of criticism is at the bottom of the destruction of most ideas, which never reach the planning and action stage. So when you have that idea, when you have that flash of inspiration, when you have that intuition, that intuitive hit, that inspiration, something you really want to do, act on it right away, breathe life into it right away. Tehran says you can't lay off until it pays off, and it will pay off. Then you can take a couple of days off. That's funny. Yeah. Like my mom says, it's a full-time job to get a full-time job. Ooh, you say $100,000 in 1915 is equivalent to the purchasing power of $2,578,950.50. How exact? That's great. So that's the equivalent of $2,578,950.50. Don't forget those 2 quarters. That's amazing, you guys. Yeah, I needed to hear this today. Like, I needed to hear this. I need to hear this every day. I just was listening to this little, like, I don't know if it was a sermon, but I took notes. I'm always listening to something. And I found myself worrying about, you know, I consider myself a person of faith, and I believe that I am watched out for. But I was kind of in a space where I'm like, okay, is this all up to me? Like, I was just leaning on my own faith and feeling overwhelmed, you know, and anxious. And there's a passage in the Bible that says, don't worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will care for itself. For each day has enough trouble of its own. Today, and then the pastor, I think, went on to say, today is the tomorrow you worried about yesterday. Today is the tomorrow you worried about yesterday. So he was kind of saying that we're like crucifying ourselves between yesterday and tomorrow. And today we're just living in that limbo. We're just suffering because we're worried about yesterday and we're worried about tomorrow. We're not even living for today. So today is the tomorrow you worried about yesterday. Let yesterday go. Trust God for tomorrow and be at peace with him right now. Let yesterday go. Trust God for tomorrow and be at peace with him right now. If he has you here today, if you are here today listening to this, believe he's got you today. You can plan for tomorrow, but you live by faith today. Good stuff. Hi, Sabrina Del Rio Elizondo. Yes. Don't worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will care for itself. Today is the tomorrow you worried about yesterday. Let yesterday go. Trust for God. Trust God for tomorrow and be at peace with him right now. If he has you here today, believe he's got you. You planned for tomorrow, but live by faith today. So if you live today, right now, this rest of this Thursday, in absolute faith, and it's like, faith, worrying is lack of faith in God. Like, do you say you believe in God or higher power of the universe or something's taking care of you? If you worry, that is the opposite of having faith. Either you believe or you don't. I'm talking to myself because I find myself. So you can be concerned about something, but don't worry because you'll always be taken care of if you have faith. It'll always work out if you have that attitude. Yeah. Don't worry. Worry is a lack of faith. That's my lesson for today. Have a wonderful Thursday. Gotta go. See you guys. Ooh, tomorrow. Big announcement. I'm going to be on at noon tomorrow. I'm going to have to change my little cover to let everyone know that I'll be noon on Friday. So Friday's at noon, every other day, 11 a.m. So I'll see you guys tomorrow at noon. Have a good one.